everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Claire Point podcast with me, Randy Prizzle. How you guys all doing out there? Everything good, Shway, crispy, irie? What we got on this episode of the podcast? But before that, we're going to make a few changes to the podcast, which means, obviously, we're not going to worry too much about going into results and everything like that for games and stuff. You guys already know that stuff. There's no point. Obviously, I will talk about games that do actually matter, that I do actually care about. We will discuss that in probably full lengths. Just a bit of that. And obviously, we'll get a bit more into advices and things like that. So we'll have a lot more time for them. Just shortening it out. Just giving you guys the real deal, the real McCoy, like the song. Another night, another dream, but always you. Giving you all of that. Obviously, those will be the first things that will be starting off, obviously, on the podcast in terms of the changes that's going to be made. We're going to talk about the stuff that actually does matter. But obviously, we will then dive more into the series and movies that I've got to talk about. Obviously, we'll talk about them in greater detail. So there will be spoilers this time around. I will be trying to dive a bit more into them and tell you my actual thoughts on what I saw. Some fuckeries that probably went on in episodes or movies that I need to really let out and tell you guys all about. Scream and shout sayings like the Britney Spears song, let it all out, O-E-O, E-O-E-O. But anyways, let's get on to the episode of today. What we've got for you guys on this episode of the podcast: random questions, my advice. We talk about You Season 5, the Europa League final, Conference League final, Champions League final, and the Women's Champions League final. And then obviously I'll dive a bit into Arsenal season as well, the men's. So let's go and officially welcome you guys to this episode of the Claire Point podcast. All right, random questions time. If you were to be banned from your local library, what would be the reason? I think it would be the reason that I'd be banned from a library, probably like eating inside of there. I know certain libraries that don't allow you to eat inside the library, but if obviously I have to read books and stuff and my time is going to be spent there, I'd want to be comfortable. I'll probably be bringing in some food that probably is a little bit smelly, but probably I would have a little bit of sympathy for the people. Potentially bringing in something like a sandwich or a drink, something that doesn't really have that pongy smell that really is going to put people off in there. But at the end of the day, that's probably something I probably would be kicked out of the library for. But if I find a gal in there that generally I'd like, maybe a bit of touchy-feelies, something along them lines, hugging each other, touching each other, and doing the whole, not 9 yards yet, but probably obviously on the ways we're getting to know each other better. Like the G-Unit song, I want to get to know ya, I really want to thank you, baby. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on why I probably would be banned. Next question. What are some crazy adventures you want to try in life? Crazy adventures. I think just traveling to a lot more countries, going to the places where you get to experience a lot more of what life has to offer. I'm not really someone who does too much adventure. The only adventure I'd probably do is go into an adventure playground. And obviously I'm a bit too old for that now. Do you know what I mean? Me, my big age, jumping on a climbing frame and stuff, it looks a bit wrong, doesn't it? Well, kids are around, so it looks a bit mad. But yeah, that's just generally my thoughts on adventure. But just going to different countries, experiencing the culture, trying their cuisines, maybe even, dressing up in the attire for that specific place I'm going to, their local attire, you know what I mean? Doing that sort of thing, I think. Experiencing the culture fully. So that's probably the only, like I say, crazy thing I wouldn't do, Yeah. People say you're boring. Well, it is what it is, I'm more of a talkative sort of person rather than an actual action sort of person, you know what I mean? Not like, obviously, Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger and that. You know what I mean? A bit action, yeah, to be action. You gotta just try to make it happen. Yeah, it's the action, man. You know what I mean? You gotta just make sure that people see what I'm about. You know what I mean? So yes, this is where it's gotta go. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Have you ever fallen asleep during class? Yeah, I have. I think it was RE class I fell asleep in. Listen, to be honest, I don't like classes that just ramble on, and the tutor was rambling on too much, and this was school days, by the way, so I think I've fallen asleep in another class. I think it was history. I think I fell asleep in. So them type of like classes that you just yap on, I don't find that interesting. That don't impress me much, like the Shania Twain song. I just want you just to get to the point. I'm all about, say, getting my hands moving, being creative, rather than just staying in one place and just doing absolutely fuck all and listening to someone ramble on, chatting absolute, all of that about all of this nonsense that man doesn't really care about. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Next question. If you could ask me a funny question, what do you think it would be? Well, I'll probably leave that question to you guys. If you could ask me a funny question, what would it be? I'll give you 5 seconds. You can put them in the comments below. You can keep them to yourself. Well, cool. Now we're going to move on to the next question. Are you scared of horror movies? No, I'm not scared of horror movies. They just absolutely piss me off. And the reason why they do is because you can blatantly see it's obvious. The person always decides to run towards danger. It's like, why are you running? Why are you running towards danger? What is wrong with you? They always do these sort of things where they run towards the problem. And it's like, it's clearly obvious there that the person lurking in the shadows is there to try and murk you. Why are you running in that direction to get hurt? Why are you doing it? You're curious. Curiosity killed the cat, as they always say. But these people can't help themselves. They can't help but do something stupid just for the fact of the matter is that they want to be dumbasses. So that's the reason why it pisses me off watching horror movies constantly. They just do these stupid things, and you figure to yourself, how dumb are you? How dumb are you to be doing this over and over again? Why can't you get it through your thick skull that this right here is not a problem solver? It's only gonna end up bad for you. That's the reason why I can't watch horror films. Just get someone else. That's it. All right, next one. If you could remove one color from the world, what would it be and why? I think I would say teal. Teal just seems like a color that's, doesn't really have an air or there to it, to be honest. That's just the only color that generally comes to mind. You know what I mean? And I'm not have a problem with teal. I just think teal is just, yeah. You have green, you have light green. What do you need a teal for? That's just my opinion on it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. Well, cool. Well, that's it. We've come to the end of the questions, guys. So obviously now we're going to move forward now to a bit of the advice. The phone decides to start working this time. It's just doing the madness now, isn't it? Just showing me up. Great. Thank you for this. This is what I always wanted, for you to show me up right now. Do you know what I mean? Make it look like I'm really unprofessional, but this podcast is never meant to be a professional podcast. Do you know what I mean? It's meant to be me just chatting a lot of crap, and you guys obviously listening to the crap I've got to chat. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? But let's get on to some of these advices if the phone has decided to start working again. All right. I think we'll obviously take a bit of a pause here because I need to deep dive and look into this deep down inside. So yeah, we'll take a pause right here. Okay, we're back. Let's get into the advices. This one just says, attracted to family. And the person says, I am really attracted to my sister. Is it that bad? Simply putting it, it's wrong. It's bad. Stop thinking like that. Get yourself some mental health and move the fuck on. You cannot be thinking about your sister in terms like that. Bro, are you doing a Cersei Lannister thing? Yeah, that is absolutely horrible. It's wrong to be thinking about your sister in terms and depths like that. Yeah, crazy, insane to be seeing your sister in a different light. Something as sexual like that. That's insane. Go and get yourself some mental help and then try to move the fuck on. Because that right there, you deserve to whip yourself. You deserve right now to get yourself into a place where you're being punished. You know what I mean? Get yourself some mental help. Because that's what you really need. You can't be thinking like that. Simple advice for that person. Next one. An OnlyFans girl got me. I feel horrible about it. How do I ever hide my shame? Now this person says, I use OnlyFans a bit. I generally find it fine. No different than any other porn. Well, to be honest, it's not, because you're paying, obviously, to watch this stuff. But anyways, I wait for sales, never auto-renew. Make sure everything is fed up perfectly, or teed up, sorry, perfectly. Let me just brighten this a bit more, because I can't see too hard, the glasses and all of that. But yeah, let's go. I just ignore messages. I don't care about what you have to say. I'm here to see something. This sounds bad, especially from a lesbian, she's a lesbian, okay, who also complains about how men objectify women. But hypocrites, yeah. But one girl, she sent me a message and it got on my nerves, so I responded. She turned it from non-sexual into sexual really quick. I could feel my heart beating. I felt so good. And that's just bad grammar there. And she asks for $25. I'm in deep at this point that I give it to her. I shouldn't have. She sends me pre-recorded video and then asks for $50. It's at this point my conscience breaks. What did I just do? I say I'm tired and that's it. It fucking worked. She got me. It went from a free trial to more money than most people got from me in 10 minutes. I just feel horrible. I'm not struggling financially, but I could have spent it so much better. I'm struggling. Well, that's how they get you, isn't it? My advice is simple. You should not have gone onto that site in the first place. What are you doing on there when you can find free content on one of these sites that's on for free? Do you know, I'm not naming names out here because obviously I'm not one man want to get cancelled on this team. So yeah, you can look it up. Just type up the XXX stuff like the Vin Diesel thing, and you should be able to find some sites that should give you something free access, and you can do what you need to do on there. Do you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, you objectified men, and you went as far as to go onto this site to try and do some trolling or whatever. But at the end of the day, right, they hustled you. You got hustled. Do you know what I mean? You got the hustle without the loyalty and without the respect. It's the new John Cena now. That's what you got. Do you know what I mean? You got the bad version. You didn't get the good version. There's no good stuff anymore. They didn't give you no good times because at the end of the day, you just got some videos and pictures and that's all you got. You didn't end up with Narnia. No Chronicles of Narnia. No nothing. Do you know what I mean? You didn't get taken to the Alice in Wonderland settings. Do you know what I mean? But they took you there because they hustled you. They took you for a mug and you got treated like one because your curiosity killed yourself. Curiosity killed a cat. Well, it killed you at the end of the day because you're left regretting, oh yeah, my money is gone. Why is your money gone? Because you decided to be a dumbass and go and invest your money in some public domain pussy that wasn't never going to be yours, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It was never going to be yours. She was never going to be your woman. Do you know what I mean? So all I could say to you is just don't do it again. Do you know what I mean? Just learn from your mistakes. Don't go back there. Don't go there. Don't go there. So if you go there again, the same thing's going to happen because you cannot help yourself. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, right, you say you feel horrible, you feel shame. You should feel shame because you got absolutely turned over like apple crumble. You got turned over like pineapple upside down cake. That person took you for a mug and treated you like one. So at the end of the day, you should feel shame. Do you know what I mean? You should feel it. But go and get yourself a person. Go and find the free internet stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to hustle you. That's not going to take you for some trash. Do you know what I mean? So learn from your mistakes, innit? Okay, cool. That's all I have to say on that. Let me see if we have time for one more. always have to obviously check the statistics and all that. We don't look like we have time for one more, so that'll be it. We're gonna obviously move forward now from all of that. But what are your thoughts on everything? Random questions, the advice, and all of that. Let me know your thoughts below, comments below, or you can keep to yourself. We come to you now. So obviously I'm going to touch on you, season 5. Just quick analysis, thoughts, questions I put out there to the public. Now, the question I would put out there to the public: can you guys see yourself with someone like Joe Goldberg? Yeah, I'm saying it obviously from the man's perspective. Can you see yourself with a gal? Do you know what I mean? That's just as mad. Obviously, whatever your preference is. If you still like man, then that's up to you. If you like gal, then that's up to you again. So, for my preference, obviously, with a gal, then, you know what I mean? Can you see yourself with a gal that's kind of the same resemblance as a Joe Goldberg? And the answer for me is straight no. Do you know what I mean? You always have to be careful in this life of who you contract yourself with, because there's people out there that are moving mad. Do you know what I mean? You have to be really, really careful, because some of these people motives are very ulterior. You know, there's some crazies out there in this world. You have to be very careful, because some of these people just want to take what they can from you. And you have to be very careful to know the person's background, their history, everything like that. Now, I hear it. Some people say, well, I'll go through your phone and find out things. No, you have to do a bit of deep diving sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes, not saying all the times. If you start to suspect someone is a bit loosey like goosey gander, you probably have to do a little bit of the wandering stuff. Ask them some questions. If they're being very coy, very quiet, not telling you much, do you know what I mean? You feel like they're shifty, being a bit off key, then you probably have to worry. You have to find this stuff out. You know what I mean? Because you never know who you're going to be getting with. You never know what that person's ulterior motive is. That person could be saying to you, oh yeah, I care about you, I love you, all this and all that. And at the end of the day, behind your back, they're doing something mad. Do you know what I mean? So you would have to know sometimes. They say trust is a big thing. I hear it. But also, you have to know that that person's not a weirdo. Absolute weird. I'm not talking about, I'm a bit of a weirdo myself, but I'm talking about weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're doing some mad stuff. Do you know what I mean? On the Joe level, just murking people, killing them. Do you know what I mean? You have to know who you're getting yourself involved with. Trust me on that one. But you in general, it's mad. Do you know what I mean? Watching season 5 got me a little bit like raw. Now, my gripe, and as I said, spoilers, was the fact of the matter is, she should have just left man dying in the building, bruv. What are you doing? Why didn't you just leave him in that building to die? And obviously people would say, oh yeah, but they wanted, some closure in that. The closure is leaving him in the fire to let him die. Fuck that man, bro. That man's killed people, yeah? You leave him in that fire, you let him die. Why did you go and save his ass? Why did you do it? Why did you do it, Bronte? Do you know what I mean? That's not her name, it's Louise or whatever her name is. Why did you do it? Do you know what I mean? That's all I have to say to you, Bronte, you dumbass. But listen, you is a crazy, crazy journey. It's a crazy ride. The fact of the matter is that I wasn't expecting Marianne to turn up. It was mad. Do you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is they got man good. They locked him in the box and that. But Joe found a way through. How did this man manage to put the razor blade under his hand, bro? Do you know what I mean? I didn't expect that. This just tells you how much of a madness this man is, bro. The man thought 2 steps ahead and then managed to do a 2-step on these guys. Had a drink and a 2-step, like the song. My drink and my 2-step, my drink and my 2-step. It's on, it's on, it's on, it's on, and I put on, all of that. It's crazy to me. But you know what? You's been a great ride. Do you know what I mean? But they could have avoided the last episode. They just left man dying in the fire. But they had to round it up, didn't they? They had to try and round it up, leave Joe in jail and all this. And the thing is, from the ending, they could potentially run with another season, potentially. Joe could break out. Joe could, do a prison break thing. Do you know what I mean? Go on the run and then find a gal and then try to just go even more psycho. What I did say to when I was watching this with my sister, I said, wouldn't it be great if we had a crossover? A you versus Dexter sort of thing. I know, obviously, listen, Dexter obviously is dead. Let's say somehow Dexter somehow managed to survive. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking about Dexter Morgan, for people who don't know. Surprise, motherfucker. Do you know what I mean? Dokes and all them. But, I would hope that somehow down the line, these 2 cross paths. If they did a 1-off special or a 2-off special, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Dexter somehow is alive. Find out that Joe's going around killing women in his local area. He escaped from jail, going around, and Dexter somehow survived. Finds out that there's this madman on the loose, and he goes off to Joe. Do you know what I mean? Crossover 2-season episode sort of thing. It'd be mad. Absolutely, ratings will go through the roof. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, man, crazy series. Thoroughly enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? The twists and the turns, the ups and the downs, your smiles and frowns. Share with me fairy tales I make believe. It's crazy. Up and down, all of that. Do you know what I mean? Up, down, left, right, left, right, left, right. Absolutely mad. So I just have to say, big up to the casts and the crew of You, because I think they did a good job. I didn't obviously like the final episode. I thought it was just pointless to have that there. I really expressed, and I was really vocal about that, and I really said I didn't like the fact that they took it to those lengths. Well, she was running through the woods doing some flipping, what's his name, Scream 2 or Scream 1 said. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that kind of annoyed me. Left man to die in the fire, boom, done. But you decide to try and take it to some last sort of vengeance shall be mine thing, and you end up nearly getting murked. I just didn't get it. But anyways, this is some of the dumbassery that I'm talking about. But in general, great ride, great journey. You's been fantastic to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It gets an easily, this season will get about an 8.8 from me. I wouldn't give it high marks, so the last episode kind of pissed me off still. But overall, thoroughly enjoyable, thrilling, edge of the seat ride, thriller and all of that, like the Michael Jackson song, thriller night, and it really was. But yeah, cool. Well, that's my thoughts on You. What are your thoughts on You? Put your comments below on that one. Keep it to yourself. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to move forward now, just to touch on some of the games that will be coming up. Just a simple talk on the Europa League final. Man United versus Tottenham. I hope Man United can win this game. I need Man United to win this game. This is a message out there to Man United. I'll take the glass off for a minute. You, Man United fans, Man United in general, I need you to stop these Tottenham Hotspurs from winning anything this season. Yeah, it cannot happen. I need you to do a job. Yeah, do your job, as Roy keeps saying. Do your job. Do your job. Don't talk about things like do your job. Just do it. Yeah, make sure you get it done. All right, gloss going back on now. Cool. Just do your job. Yeah. All I want is for you, man, to put these men back in the hole where they deserve to be. Yeah. Stop all of this noise, all of this bullshit from happening. I don't want to see Tottenham Hotspurs lifting anything this season. Anything apart from cabinets that are empty, where they belong with no trophies, bro. People say, well, you can't talk 5 years without, but they've been how many years without a trophy? Since Jonathan Woodgate and them man there. That's where they deserve to be, bro. Without trophies again for this season. I don't want to see these men holding nothing. Yeah. So Man United, make sure you do your job. You stop this from happening. Yeah. I don't want to say big up Man United because I don't want to big them up. You know what I mean? Man United, me and you, we have a love-hate relationship. I want you guys to just do your job. Yeah. I don't care if you guys control us about you've won a trophy and we have a call. I don't care. Just stop Tottenham from winning the trophy. That's all I say. It's as simple as that. That's all I want you to do. Just all I want is you to stop Tottenham. Just stop them. Okay? Because if this happens, I'm telling you, I'm not watching football. I'm not watching football for about a year or two. I cannot do it. Do you know what I mean? I have Tottenham fans talking to me about trophies and that. Yeah, it's irrelevant. But these men would have won something, a European Cup, and they would have trolled, man. Put it in our faces. Look what we've won. I don't care. Yeah, stop that from happening. Do your job. Okay, so Man United versus Tottenham, the Europa League final. I'm going to go for Man United winning this one. I think Tottenham probably would potentially get a goal, but I think Man United, the heritage, you could say, in terms of these men have been there, done it all. I expect them to get over the line. So I would say a late goal, 2-1 Man United. I'm going to go for Man United winning that Europa League final. So Chelsea versus Real Betis should be happening as well in the Conference League. I believe that's on the Thursday. So it's a case where somehow I hope Anthony turns up and stop Chelsea from winning the trophy. Do you know what I mean? Um, to be honest, that competition, I don't even know why the Conference League even exists, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Do you know what I mean? It's just a third rate European trophy, but people say, well, if Arsenal win it, would you care? Bruh, it's on the same level as the Carabao Cup for me, bruh. I don't see it as something that's, but it's a trophy at the end of the day. It's more prestige than, the Charity Shield or whatever. Even though Charity Shield's been out longer, but it's a bit more prestige. But still, it's not something I would look for and go to, oh yeah, well, we won the Conference League if we were in it. I was like, okay, cool, trophy, whatever, let's move on. It's not something that for me is substantial. I don't see it on the lengths of obviously the Europa League or the Champions League. It can't compare to them two. Nothing compares. It can't compare. So that's what I'm thinking there. But I hope Betis do turn up. But I generally don't think they will. I think they'll score. But I think unfortunately it will end up Chelsea just scraping through again. I could see a 2-1. Probably after extra time. I could see Chelsea just scoring a late goal and getting them the Conference League. So I'm going to go, fortunately, 2-1 Chelsea. Champions League final. PSG versus Inter Milan should be happening on the 31st of May. I'm going to go... Both teams have done really well, though, to get to the final. I do feel like Inter Milan probably should have a little bit more just to get over the line. So, because of how defensively structured Inter Milan are, PSG are great on the attack front, but I feel they could get caught. So I'm gonna go for a 1-0 Inter Milan win. I think it's gonna be a tight game. I just don't really think PSG will find a way through. So I'm gonna go 1-0 Inter Milan. And then we come to the Women's Champions League final. Arsenal versus Barcelona should be happening on the 24th of May, scheduled for 5 p.m. I don't know on your TV listings and all of that. You're going to have to check. But 24th of May, the Women's Champions League final, Arsenal, Barcelona. Barcelona, obviously, credible sides. Tayana, Bonmati, Putellas. They've got some great players there. It's going to be very, very difficult for Arsenal to try and turn this around. But no one thought they'd go to Lyon and win. Do you know what I mean? They did. They went to Lyon. They went and won there. So anything is generally possible. But I do think, unfortunately, quality was shown through for Barcelona. They battered Chelsea in the semi-final game, absolutely tore them apart. So I think, unfortunately, we could see Barcelona winning this game. I hope I'm wrong, but unfortunately, I think Barcelona are going to win this one. But I'll be watching, I'll be supporting the Gala. Do you know what I mean? They've done a lot more than the man than this season, for sure. So I'll be supporting them in that final and hoping they could somehow turn this around and get a win and pick up the Champions League. But, we wait and see, But I think Barcelona have this in the bag, unfortunately. So I'm going to go 3-1 Barcelona, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Yeah. Oh, people want me to talk about, let's say, the Premier League and games that happen. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? My season's over in terms of Arsenal, and I'm going to talk about that now. Do you know what I mean? It's disappointing. It's a very disappointing season. I generally don't care now about watching the Premier League, and I saw some highlights, but who cares? Do you know what I mean? You guys know the result to that, so I don't need to go into all of that. But as I said, there's a race for top four that's still on. Do you know what I mean? Man City are involved in it. Nottingham Forest are involved in it. Newcastle are involved in it. Chelsea are involved in it. So you've got about 4 teams. It's going to obviously the last day. Yeah, I mean, I think Man City are playing tonight, I think, or they played yesterday, and they win or something like that. I don't know, who cares? But yeah, it's all up for grabs now in this final game. We wait and see what's going to happen. As I said, for me, season's done in terms of Arsenal, so I don't care. But we've ended up second again as Arsenal. Ole, ole, second again, second again, second again, ole, ole. It's really not something to be happy about, to be honest. And people say, well, you should be pleased we got to the Champions League semi-final, blah, blah, blah. So much, yet so little promised. And it's down to the same thing. I didn't obviously do this podcast for couple of weeks now, just because the pure fact is I was very, very annoyed. And it still was just running through me of how annoyed I was about the season. And people say, well, the injuries, and I've heard some people on AFTV talk about injuries and all of this and that. It's still unexcusable, man. Yeah, I mean, we had a chance to sign a striker, we didn't sign a striker. We had a chance to sign some players, and we didn't do that. During the summer, we didn't really spend our money. Again, in the winter, we didn't do it. So we made some pathetic bid for Ollie Watkins after Duran had left. It just tells me this club were not serious. So, above all, they could have done something to prevent the season we had. If we signed the players we needed to sign, we wouldn't have been in this situation, but we are in this situation. We've ended up again without a trophy. So it's down to the board, it's down to the manager. As I said, what saved this manager this season is the fact that we've signed a new sporting director. And I actually want to see what he does with this sporting director, what changes are going to be made. Because if there isn't going to be any changes, then I'm just really not here for it. I would then look at this and say, the manager only gets a year from me. Gets a year to prove that he can go and win us a trophy this year. If you don't win us anything, you need to go. It's as simple as that. But then I'm looking at the board as well. I'm looking at why you didn't back this manager. I'm looking at why the summer we didn't sign anyone. I'm looking at winter. Why didn't we sign anyone in the January transfer market? Why did we do these things? Why did we send some players out on loan when they could have been useful to us? Why did we sell certain players when they could have been useful to us as well? I just didn't understand all of this. I didn't understand the method. There was a real method to the madness, but there was no method there in terms of Wanyeri should have had more game time. Didn't have more game time. Don't understand why. In terms of we could have used him in the Champions League semi-finals leg, we could have used him a bit more, brought him on a lot more sooner. We didn't bring him on a lot more sooner. So we ended up on those things and those questions as to why. Certain things I've seen, I've questioned. Certain things the manager has come out and said at press conference, I question. I'm thinking, this just seems like it's Arsene Wenger in his latter stages. When Arsene Wenger just started to run out of ideas, didn't really have a clue. Am I starting to see a pattern here emerging from Mikel Arteta? Or you're just now being a yes man? You're not actually saying exactly what you feel. So that's, for me, is a bit concerning when I'm seeing some of these patterns repeating themselves, because I need to see you start to get us over the line. I need to see you start to change and have a plan B when a plan A doesn't work, or have a plan C if a plan B doesn't work. And I don't sometimes see that. I just see you doing the same things, and then later on you're trying to bring subs on to change the game. Listen, sometimes it's worked, other times it hasn't. 14 or 15 draws this season has not been good enough. The simple question is to you is, I want to see what you do in this summer transfer market, and I also want to see what you do in the winter transfer market when they open. Because obviously, I know we're not going to sign a bunch of players during this summer market. I expect to sign at least 2 to 3. Then I expect in January to probably sign 1 or 2 more. If we are in a position where we're not able to capitalize on where we are. Because if we don't sign the players we need to sign, then again, I'm looking at the season thinking it's absolute failure. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to be invested in what you're putting out there. I'm going to be questioning it even more than I'm questioning it now. So that's just my thoughts on that. But it's been a disappointing season, to be honest. If you're asking me, what hopes do I have? Sign me some players and then I'll tell you. It's as simple as that. Because if we continue on the same path where we haven't really addressed that, we haven't really signed any players, we just haven't signed a striker, we haven't signed another defensive midfielder in cover of Jorginho that's going to leave, Partey obviously potentially could be leaving as well. We haven't really looked at addressing those positions, obviously the Martinelli position as well, where Martinelli needs some competition. As I said, either him or Trossard, potentially one of them needs to go. For me, if you're not going to really give Trossard the contract he wants, then let him go. If Martinelli isn't the answer right now, we need someone to really upgrade on him, then let him go. So that's just my general thoughts on that. We do need at least 3 signings. I think for the Wanyeri position, we're covered there. In terms of obviously him being a backup to Saka, or potentially playing an Odegaard position. So Fabio Vieira, I'd give him another chance, to be honest. Lokonga off the books, get him out of there. Do you know what I mean? Reece Nelson, again, if we're not going to use him, get him out of there, sell him. You know what I mean? Tierney's obviously out the door, which is unfortunate. I really wanted him to stay because he looks like he's someone that can actually defend, can actually sit back and stop all that from happening. And he's really good going forward as well, can actually make some good crosses into the box. So I generally don't understand why we've sold him. It's a baffling situation to me, a baffling one to really understand. But hey, I'm not the manager, so, you know, but time will tell. As I said, I need to see what happens in the summer transfer market for the new season. I need to see what happens. Doesn't matter, we've got this new kit out. I'm not buying anything until we win something. I said it, I'll say it again. If Tottenham go on and win this Europa League, I'm not watching Arsenal this season. I can't do it. I can't, because that's going to hurt my soul. You know what I mean? It's going to hurt me to know that Tottenham won a trophy this season and then we ended up with nothing. Do you know what I mean? That's something I just cannot accept. So that's just me summarising all of that. But yeah, what do you guys think? For all I've said, Man United Tottenham Europa League final, Chelsea versus Real Betis Conference League final, PSG versus Inter Milan, the Champions League final. I said Champions League twice, didn't I? Yes, Europa League, I meant to say Man United Tottenham. Arsenal versus Barcelona, Women's Champions League final. What are you guys' thoughts? Are you going to watch any of them games? You can put your comments below on that one. Keep it to yourself. With that, we've come to the end of the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for watching this episode, hearing me out, me ranting, all of the above. Big up yourself, you know what I mean? And if you're feeling this episode or any of the previous episodes of the podcast or Randy Prizzle's channel in general, you know what to do below, all of that. So big yourselves up, guys. 1 more time, 2 more times, 3 more times. You know what we usually do when we finish. Peace, love, unity, have fun, and you're either all in or clear out.